We are the rock and roll rowdies.
Not about fun stuff. Let's talk about Australia and New Zealand. The fun stuff you did in those towns, countries.
Yeah. I did some fun stuff in Oz.
Well, Wilco's hinting on.
I got the clap in Oz.
Oh yeah, who hasn't?
I went to staying at King's Cross in Sydney.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she was gorgeous chick. I think I met her in Brisbane. But anyway, ended up getting the clap, and so I think you were there, Mal.
Well, Mal probably gave her the clap.
Well, I was just about to say, I think I gave her the clap.
She gave it.
I went downstairs and I got a jab from a doctor in the subterranean area.
That's right.
Yeah.
And what was that was at the Hyatt House.
Holiday Inn, was it? Oh, whatever.
On the corner, not the other one, not the Seabull Townhouse,
King's
the
Cross.
Seaman Townhouse, where we stayed later. But I was there with Wishbone, with Wishbone, and I remember being downstairs in the bar as well. The bar was downstairs, and Joe Cocker was there, and
Paul Rogers and
Paul Rogers, and first time I met Paul. First time I met Paul Rogers. We were in the Hyatt House in LA.
Yeah, I was.
And he said, "Hey, Mel, you're from Hartlepool, aren't you?" "Yeah, Paul. Let's start a fight." I said, "What for?" He said, "Come on, you're from Hartlepool. Let's start a fucking fight."
Yeah, he was always like that.
Fuck it, always. And they were trying to do him and Joe Cocker so fucking drunk in this bar, and they were trying to do one-arm press-ups. Fucking. I think we went to see Joe Cocker the next night at the entertainment centre, and they had buckets all over the stage where the fucking
it up.
they were all on fucking smack.
Yeah.
They're all smackheads, Fucking Joe Cocker's band. They were all fucking buckets everywhere. Joe came in through the bathroom window.
Well, I have a story. The keyboard player. He's been with them he was with Clapton now. He's been with them for years. Tommy. Chris Stanton, sorry, yeah. So there's the Clapton's sound man couldn't identify this. I don't remember everything, Mel, no. So the sound man kept hearing this in the system, and they're doing a live show, and he's kind of trying to mix the show and isolate what this fucking noise is. He keeps this. Turns out the fucking Chris Stanton was chopping out lines on the top of his clavinet. And they're like really microphonic. A clavinet's like a big microphone. Playing the tune.
Well, we got stuck in Sydney for 4 days with the weather, with the average white band, 75?
76.
76. And,
Early 76, very early.
And I think Mick Jagger was there. Jethro Tull wasn't there.
The Eagles were there.
The Eagles was there. Frank Zappa was there.
Frank Zappa, you're right.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was typical 4 bands in a small hotel in the bar 24/7. Right?
Yeah.
And Granny and I were going, getting fucking sick of it. We were getting fucking sick of this shit. So one day we went, let's get out of here. So we went and played pool all fucking day. Remember? So he came back about 8, 9 o'clock at night, and the barman, whatever his name was, he goes, "Hey, Wilkie, look what I got in for you." And you know those huge bottles of fucking champagne?
Yeah.
Huge. I looked at him and went, "Well, how much is that?" He goes, 75, Australian dollars. "How many have you got?"
It's a bargain.
He goes, "I got 2. I said, "I'll fucking take them." We quit drinking. Next thing I know, everybody's drunk, already fucked up. And I'm walking around pouring champagne out to every fucker, So the next day we get a phone call, and we think it's the front desk. And it's like, it's the airlines, and now you can take 2 people. And we were like, we're fucking on it. We're getting the fuck out of here. We got to go. So we put the phone down, and then the phone went again. It's like, "Yeah, what do you want?" And this guy's going, "Is this room 602? And we're like, "Yes, it fucking is. And what do you want?" He goes, "Excuse me?" I went, "Well, yeah, what do you fucking want?" He goes, "Well, I'd like to book it because my wife and I had our honeymoon there." And I'm going, "Hey, Granny, this guy wants to come into 602 and have a good old shag." This guy was like, "Excuse me? What are you saying?" I'm going, "I'll tell you what, before you go, fuck off and listen to this." Click, And you go downstairs, it's like, "Have you been talking to somebody?" I'm like, "No, not us. Not us." Yeah. That was the worst flight I ever fucking got. It was like, we only went to Melbourne. Mm-hmm. So we got to Melbourne, and there was all these other bands there. And I was like, So what have you been doing for entertainment? Oh, the Melbourne Heavies. The Melbourne Heavies? What the fuck is that? Those 3 chicks over there, mate. They're all about 250 to 350 pounds. We're like, have you been shagging them for 3 days? Oh, they're fucking great. The Melbourne Heavies. I was like, nah, not for us, mate. We too clean for that shit. To finish that story, the funny thing, 2 years later, I was at the Whiskey. And this chick, I remember one of the faces, she was really pretty. And she's looking at me and I'm like, where do we know you? She goes, I'm the Melbourne Heavy. She lost all the weight. She was a fucking model, a lingerie model in LA.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going, oh, how about a shag? She goes, fuck off. You wouldn't fuck me when I was 300 pounds.
Along those lines, the girls in the town, one of the plaster casters, the main one, just died about a week or two ago.
I know.
Yeah, I never had this.
I remember,
did you ever do a cast? I didn't.
No.
I had nothing to do with cast with.
The groupies, the famous one I met was Connie.
Yeah.
And we'd done Little Rock.
Little Rock, Arkansas.
And so there we are, and I'm there with Vinegar Joe. Connie's there. She goes, look at the cock on that guy. I ain't gonna suck that. I'm going, all right. All night long. She was fucking following me around all night long.
She was a fucking...
all right,
She was a school teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet Connie was doing her act.
Little
She
Rock.
had the whole show, and that's a natural fact.
Yeah. But, I saw years later, because I never saw her in the 70s, 80s. It was in the late 90s when I bumped into her. And I was, in Arkansas. And she looked fucking rough.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Skinny. Oh,
And
everything.
she used to give everybody.
She'd blow the whole crew and the band.
Yeah.
Shag them,
Everybody.
and then go back to school next day. Hello, children.
That's what I did yesterday.
How was your weekend?
Hang on, let me just pull this pubic hair out of my teeth.
Right.
I'm on this high protein diet.
That's right.
But let's finish up for New Zealand.
New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Look at
New Zealand. Here we come, New Zealand.
Well, you want me to tell it, or are you going to tell it?
No, you tell it. No, I started.
You started up, because I think it's what you're on about.
Yeah. So at Atlantic Records, big party for the Average Weight Band. And
It was a launch, like a big...
it was
New Zealand,
yeah.
big official
You know.
launch.
so we all know Bruce, and Bruce at that time, to him, he got the Average Weight Band to _1, and his job was done, which was not true. So anyway, this big party, and I arrived with Granny. About half an hour, 40 minutes later, the band were there.
By the way, this was the Intercontinental Hotel in Auckland,
right.
in the main ballroom.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, Granny finished the fucking funny story. It was brilliant.
Well, so Wilco set the thing up. We'd done a great gig. All the press were there. All the record company, multiple sort of celebrities and invitees. It was like Average Rap Band were really cruising at the time. So me and Barry were the two backline roadies. We'd get the gig put away real quick, and there was always a good team atmosphere with the Average Rap Band. So we were invited to all of these junkets and all of these dinners and things. So I turn up back at the hotel, just got cowboy boots, jeans and a t-shirt, and a little shoulder bag. Travel pretty light. And so we thought, we'll have a drink and then go and drop our things off in the room. So I walk into this party. There's hundreds of people, huge buffets and all that. Loads of people, lots of lights. Bruce, poor guy. I mean, he was buckling under the stress, taking too much dope. They'd take him off the mixing board. He was just falling asleep and out of his tree. He saw me. And I guess because I'm a loudmouth and a bit sort of arrogant, he decided to try to embarrass me. So he came running over, grabbed me and ripped my T-shirt off. This is another man. Oh, hi, Bruce. How you doing? I'm trying not to spill my drink. So he rips the T-shirt off. Then he goes for the jeans and he somehow rips the fucking jeans to pieces. So I'm down to my cowboy boots and my underpants. And I think he thought I would run away. Like, oh, excuse me. So I just stayed. Underpants go ripping off. I'm there naked except for the cowboy boots. So he says, so he thought I would run away like shy. I'm like, and? So it gets me down on the fucking ground and he's trying to he got one cowboy boot off and he couldn't get the other cowboy boot off. So he's dragging me all around the carpet. I got like burns on my back. My elbows are skin raw. And I'm just giggling and laughing. And in the end, he gives up and staggers off. Well, I stayed. I stayed at the whatever you call this thing, this junket. I walked around. I'm having drinks and like knob hanging out and everything. And so I took a champagne cork, the retaining cap, the wire thing.
Oh, right.
And I put it over the end of my tadger as like a muzzle,
Muzzle,
so it wouldn't scare the ladies, you know. And I went around, I was serving drinks, and people were coming up and talking to me. So I think I stayed for about half an hour, and blood dripping down my back and down my arms, naked except for a cowboy boot. I don't know if there was ever a write-up in the paper.
No,
Average wipe and
nobody left.
I don't. Everybody just went along with it, and I'm like, I'm walking around naked. Everybody's, how was the gig? Oh, blood.
Why did Bruce attack you? For what reason?
Well, I think because I'm like, he wanted to like test my metal because I'm a loudmouth and like walking around, everybody knows I'm there. I think he thought in his twisted mind, like, let's see how much he can handle. I'll embarrass him. That's all I can think. And I'm just like, I just called his bluff.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty wild night. But yeah, I don't know if there was any official.
No,
there must have been photographers. There's got to be photographs.
I think some of the band like slipped away through it all. I don't know why. And I was just saying to the record label, hey, it's, and they're going, no, this is fucking funny as shit. Look at this.
Yeah.
And some of the high end guys though, they were going, that's like, Bruce. That's the manager. And they were like,
But he was just trying to call my bluff, and I called his. Pretty wild.
Well, it was funny when afterwards you walk around offering drinks, and the chicks were like, "Yeah."
I had a tray, but I was offering champagne.
The
Champagne
champagne,
thing on
the metal on his knob end. That's all
like
he was dressed in. He's walking around and said, "Would you like a drink?" About 200 people left.
That's the rock and roll
That
decadence.
was the most.
And I didn't start it. I just thought
You finished it.
I finished it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny as fuck. I think I was pouring champagne on you both. I was like just pouring champagne on you. Of course, you were soaking wet. I mean, And Bruce was like pulling the cowboy boot to trying to get it off and dragging you around the fucking dance floor.
Good tour, that.
Yeah.
Good tour.
Fucking hell. That's what that gig we did with all the fucking seats on the side.
I remember the gig.
The box, there was all these boxes. It was a really small gig, but there was all these boxes. And Amish was like, hey, how are you people up in the lifeboats doing?
Yeah.
It was fucking funny. But I can't remember the name of the gig. But
Spike showed up at that gig.
I can't remember Spike being there
and
at all.
a girl from Peterlee had emigrated there. One of the girls from the August Butterfly.
Oh.
You remember that?
No, I don't remember Spike at all being there.
I do.
Yeah.
Another average. Just remember
when I was there.
We, back then, before all the internet communication, you'd maybe send a telex from your agency with what you needed. So we needed like transformer for the American equipment for the voltages, and maybe some other bits and pieces. We took most of our own gear with us, but we needed certain other things. And when we got there, the fucking transformer was just something the promoter had for his lawnmower or something. It wasn't enough for the back line, and then we had a whole. One bit by bit during the show, this might not have been Auckland, but bit by bit during the show, everything started going off. The back line went off. The fucking PA went off.
Yeah, we had no PA.
The drum skins were splitting, and it was just like the band just said, fuck it.
Yeah.
They just did an a cappella set.
Yeah. They just said, fuck the sound system.
They did.
Maybe that was part of Bruce, I don't know, because he was up front.
I just think it was maybe a shabby promoter, who knows what, but it just was like, the band said the show must go on. It was fantastic. Yeah. They did an a cappella thing. Steve did a tambourine and he had his drums, of course. Right. But the rest of the guys just, nothing left.
Well, they were like that.
The saxes.
The musicians, you know what I mean? And we talked earlier about you with Pink Floyd, all our production.
Yeah.
When we got to fucking Japan, right, in 76, we had nothing. We had no lights, shit, nothing. Yeah. So Uno goes, is this it? This is a fucking back line. What do you expect? We just had Cut the Cake just came out, right? So as you know, the Japanese like to tape everything.
And measure it all, yeah.
And they're like, well, what are we going to do? And we were like, what do you mean? What's the fucking problem with the bands here? That's all you need is the musicians.
Yeah, they weren't up for too much staging.
No. So we arrived at the next fucking gig. These are 50 by 50 fucking backdrop of Cut the Cake. Of the cake and and they'd done it overnight. And we were like, what? And he goes, oh yeah, now you can travel with it. I think we left the fucker in Japan, didn't we?
I'm not sure. I think we might have hung on to it. Because we used to have a Scottish flag hanging behind the band at one time. Big Scottish. Yeah. But if you set up something wrong the first day, it was wrong the rest of the trip because they had it measured.
Yeah. No, but it was like, what happened to that?
Who knows?
I mean, back on about backdrops when I did Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell, same thing. He was like, he had his production lights and everything, but no backdrop, and same thing. But Meatloaf created, he goes, Wilkie, this is the artist, let's go. And off he went. And this fucking guy, 24 hours, painted this huge fucking backdrop. It was brilliant. You know, the Bat Out of Hell, the whole front of the album, you know. And it was like, you know, the guy was up all night. What do you need? I can't remember his name. Oh, I'm going to need Charlie, because I'm going to fucking need it. Here you go, mate. You know, next day was set up. Oh, yeah, it was the Wembley dates. We had like 5 sold-out Wembley gigs, you know. Fucking, it's amazing how they just, in those days, they just made it happen.
Yep.
Well, that's it. That is it. You made it happen.
Yeah.
Regardless, you know.
Yeah, it was definitely the Wembley shows, because we'd done everything else, and we came back to Wembley, and he was like, oh, we need a little bit more than what we got.
Yeah, we're in London.
The backdrop would fucking look great, you know. 24 hours this guy was up. He was like sitting there having a coffee when I got there. He was like, all right, Wilkie. I'm like, I'm fucking great. How are you doing? I had it set up for the first gig, you know.
You can hear more from the Rock and Roll Rowdies on all major podcast platforms. And please follow us on facebook.com/Rock and Roll Rowdies. Yeah!